Sup? This is Greggatron. Want to talk to y'all about black folk. So, there's been a lot of talk about this Super Bowl that happened last week with Kendrick Lamar and Serena Williams and all this stuff. And I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't think black Americans want to be American. As a whole, that is. And I say that because if we truly wanted to be Americans, we just call each other and ourselves Americans. We wouldn't be saying African Americans still. Do y'all consider Elon Musk an African American? I think not. But these people still call themselves African Americans. They're celebrating Black History Month, Juneteenth. People are still wanting reparations from slavery, even though they never met a slave. They don't even know who was a slave in their family. It's like, I noticed people go out of their way to push blackness just for the sake of pushing it. You know what I mean? It's like you can't even have an event anymore. A normal event like a football game with black entertainers without it being like extra blackety black 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 black. And when I say extra blackety black 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 black, y'all know what I mean. I'm talking about it's like in your face attitude. We're making sure y'all know we're black. We're loud. We're proud. We're in charge. We're this. We're that. And y'all gonna like it. And they're arrogant about it. It's like, but these are the same people who celebrate the civil rights movement, right? So despite the controversies of the civil rights movement, wasn't the civil rights movement supposed to be about equality, equal everything? So instead of y'all wanting to be treated like equal Americans, you don't really want that. You'd rather be a special American. Like a special class American. Like kiss my boots American. Wipe my behind American. Give me something. Even if I didn't deserve it, American. Notice how the new word is not equality anymore. It's equity. There's people out here, and I'm just going on a rant right now. I don't know where this is going. But there's people out there now who believe simply because you're black, you should get the same outcome as a non-black, even if you didn't try as hard as that person. So I think Kamala Harris said that on the campaign trail. She's like, some people just need extra help. So it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter where you're going. But as long as you get the same outcome, as your counterpart, that's all that matters. So these people are pushing, you don't even have to work as hard. You don't have to be as good. You just have to be black. And not only black, but you have to be blackety black 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 black. And that's like disgusting. Because there's some decent, hardworking blacks out there who don't need that crap. They just come to work and work hard and do their job. The problem is these blackety black 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 people who push it in your face, who are loud and proud about it, they come in and they ruin it for all the decent, hardworking blacks. I was talking to a guy about a year ago. He was telling me he was a programmer or something, and he was like the only black person in the room. something like that. And he's like, oh, you're not going to believe the racism I had to deal with. And I was like, in what way? He said the white people would look at him and ask him, or look at him like he doesn't belong there, he's not supposed to be there. Well, I'm thinking that's not necessarily the white people's fault. The problem is when you put a black person in some of these jobs who's not qualified simply because he or she is black, then the white people are going to be like, well, who hired this person? This person doesn't even have credentials. So when another black person comes in later, the jar has already been spoiled for the future blacks because they're going to see you as a DEI black thanks to the DEI blacks. Because the white people, they don't know the difference. The white people don't know if you're DEI or not. That's because DEI has tarnished the image of all black people. So when you do get a qualified black in there, they don't know if you're qualified or not. Get it? That's why we should have never had affirmative action in the first place. It should have just been based off of merit and qualifications alone. If you're a good, hard worker, especially in 2025, come on now, you'll get the job. You will. You don't need no programs. I'm just tired of people complaining about programs and slavery and segregation. Stuff that has nothing to do with today. And this culture, man, this black culture is just toxic. It's like whenever I see black culture, it's just poisonous, like venomous. The out of wedlock birth, the inner city crime, the youths not obeying their parents, the parents screaming at the youths, beating the youths. It's like the kids get out of their car every morning and there's just rap music blaring. I see people in grocery stores now on their phones blaring music in a public setting. And there's other people around you, no headphones, no Bluetooth, no nothing. The profanity, the cursing, the language, the slang that doesn't make any sense. The way they... Notice how everybody's a dreadhead now. The disrespect, the blatant disrespect from youths to adults and to one another, the fighting in the schools, the terror. It's like the twerking with these young women, these little girls. It's like, how can you on one hand celebrate Black History Month, but on the other hand you take everything I just said and you throw that all out the window? Well, we're not going to talk about that stuff. It's like this culture is just toxic. And there's people who say, well, Greg, hip-hop culture is not black culture. Yes, the hell it is. And I'm going to explain why. Because now we have events like last week, the Super Bowl, with an all-black cast or group, whatever you want to call it. And it was like ghetto. Just straight hood shit. It's like you got Serena Williams crip walking in the middle of the halftime performance. Do y'all know who the Crips are? Those are the guys who dress in blue from Compton, California, who go around shooting the people in red, the Bloods. And then the Bloods, they dress in red and they go around and shoot the people in blue, the Crips. You know, it's been going on since like the 70s. You're celebrating that on a massive scale. And wasn't Serena Williams and Venus Williams' sister killed by a Crip? Am I wrong? Because they're from Compton, right? But you're doing that. When I saw that, I was like, hell to the no. So you're doing the Crip Walk, which is some gang related crap. You're doing that on TV in front of millions, men, women, and children. So you're showing the world this is what black is. So for the people who didn't know about black culture or who thought it was something else, something from the past, no. Today, current black culture is that type of stuff. It's not just the Crip Walk, but let me talk about that for a second. It's just the whole mindset, the whole mentality. Like, let's be as black as possible, for as loud as possible, and let's be seen by as many people as possible of how black we are. Like, how was that a good thing to show a Crip Walk when there's millions of people? Like, you're celebrating gang shit and there's little kids watching. It's just, and there's a lot of instances like this. Like, if you're gonna do hood stuff, do hood stuff around people in the hood, but don't do it on a massive scale, because not everybody is with that stupid crap. It's like, and people say, well, you know, black people used to not be this way, and the lower class blacks, the ghetto blacks, the hood blacks, they don't represent the decent, hardworking blacks. But why are y'all putting this type of stuff out there? I don't see decent blacks in the news. I don't see decent articles about decent blacks doing decent things. It's like whenever we're in the news, we're either shoplifting, or we're getting chased by cops, or we're having 10 different kids with 10 different women. Like, that's not my grandparents' generation. Like, they were not doing that. You used to be ashamed of having kids out of wedlock. You used to not hear about your neighbor breaking into your home. But now you can't even trust your own neighbor. And this is celebrated. Like, this is not normal. And this isn't even about the Super Bowl. This is just about me being sick of it. It's like, how you gonna celebrate Black History Month? What are you celebrating? Like, I saw somebody was celebrating Black History Month with Kamala Harris. And who was the other one? Ketanji Jackson Brown. I'm like, Biden openly said he's going to put them there because they're black women. Like, credentials meant nothing to him. Let's just say they were qualified. That's fine. But he openly said, I'm going to pick these people because they're women who happen to be black. He said that. And you're celebrating that for Black History Month? Like, half of our babies are they're dead. They're gone in the womb. Half of our population's gone. And y'all voted for this. Y'all voted for the death and destruction of your own people in the womb. I just don't understand. And now the black man's not even the number 2 man in the country anymore. He's the number 3 man. Because y'all voted for these other people to come in. And you just fall for that jacked up culture of, we need someone to give us something. We need someone to give us more free stuff. Therefore, we're going to vote for these people, even though they're pushing a whole campaign on destroying our people in the womb. And we're going to call it healthcare. We're going to call it women's rights. Like, these are the same people who don't want the father in the home. And y'all celebrate this. Like, you know how many young men I know who have baby mamas, black and white. Like, baby mama is a real term now. You can probably Webster's dictionary that now. Baby mama, that's not normal. Like, I have people who come up to me and say, hey, how old are you? I'll say 30, 31, 32, however old I am when they ask me. They're like, oh, you got kids? I'm like, no. What? You don't have kids? You should have some kids by now. I'm like, well, I'm not married. You don't need to be married. Have kids. And I know women who, I know a girl personally, she told me she would rather be a mom than to be someone's wife. Like, that's not normal thinking. So you rather bring a kid into the world with no dad, or if he does have a dad, he's hardly going to see him. Y'all ain't going to get along. Like, I just don't get. I had a lady tell me years ago, I was on the job. It was an old, nice black lady. She was very sweet. She said, young man, can I tell you something? I was like, yeah, what's up? She said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, it's good to see a young black man who doesn't have his pants down his butt. She said, you come here every day with a good attitude and you wear your pants up right and that sort of thing. And at the time, I didn't even know how to respond to that. But then I'm thinking, I just said thanks, because I understand she means well. But I'm thinking, wow, she just congratulated me for not sagging my pants at work. Like, that's how bad things are that an old black lady has to say, good job. Like, I'm getting a pat on the back as a young black man for not sagging. You're not supposed to sag. That's not normal. I have a friend to this day. She's black. Shout out to her. But she's kind of into the black stuff. She told me years ago, hey, congratulations on buying your house. But she'll say things like, especially for a black man. Like, what are you saying? Are you saying because I'm a black man, I'm not supposed to own nothing? Like, we don't own anything? So therefore, if we do own something, you get congratulated? Because most black people my age, they're renters? Like, that's not normal either. You should own stuff. You should own a car. You should own land. But when she says, you're doing really good for a black man or as a black man, and this is coming from a sister, by the way, it's like, that's an insult in itself, because you're basically saying we cannot do, or it's abnormal for us to own anything. But I see a lot of black men my age, they're just trash. Like, they're not worth a dime. They got a ton of kids by different women, and everybody's screwing everybody. They don't have a job half the time. They don't want to come to work. Like, I got guys older than me who I see at my job who work under me. They're not full time, but a lot of these guys, they don't even want to come to the job. They'll be on the schedule. They don't call you up and say, hey, I'm going to be late today, or hey, I won't be in today. They won't even tell you. It's like, and these are the same people who complain about not having a job, or not having this, or not having that, or the white man this, or the white man that. The white man ain't got nothing to do with you. The white man ain't thinking about you. The only thing the white man cares about is you come to work, you do your job, do it well, and go home. Like, he's only going to say something if you're not doing your job. So as far as these arguments about us having wealth and generational wealth and we're being held back, like, white people ain't thinking about you. Just do what you're supposed to do as an individual. But I see these guys, they're not doing that. And then when they don't get ahead, when they don't follow the things I say, they say, well, this job is just racist. Really? Yeah, they don't like me over here because I'm black. Even if that's true, which it's not, you have the freedom to go somewhere else and get another job. You can start your own business. It's like black culture today is about complaining, and it's about complaining on one hand that the system is holding you down, but on the other hand, it's about boasting and bragging about being black. How can you complain that white people are holding you back, but on the other hand, you're bragging about being black and proud? Black is beautiful. So which one is it? If you're so black and proud and black is beautiful, then how can anything hold you back, including the whites or fellow blacks? So it's like they don't even believe what they're saying. And when there are blacks who are successful doing their thing, rocking and rolling, the blacks who don't have it, they call those blacks sellouts. Oh, how come you don't start a business in the hood? Because the block's getting shot up. Like, why do you think people move out of the hood? Why do you think they move out of the hood? Because the neighborhoods are garbage. This culture, man. And I don't even say I'm black anymore half the time. Because for one, the older I get, the more people, black and white, will say, I'm not even black, right? But it's like, what is there to be proud of at this point? When you look at today's culture, the loudness, the obnoxiousness, the crime, the ghetto mentality, the pants sagging, the excuses, the behavior. When you see all that stuff, the kids fighting in the schools, kids fighting with their parents. I see videos of parents like beating their kids on camera. When I see all that, I'm like, what's there to be proud of as far as this culture goes? And now, this type of behavior, the baby daddy, baby mama stuff, it's like bleeding into the rest of society. Like Maury Povich and Jerry Springer, that's bleeding. I'm not saying Maury and Jerry were based on black or white, because they had everybody. But that ghetto behavior is bleeding into the rest of society. Like, I know some white people who hate white people, and they use slang on purpose, extra slang, when they're around me just because I'm black, just to be cool. But little do they know, well, they should know, I don't even talk like that. So I know white people who will like openly trash white people for being white, or let's say quote unquote racist stuff towards their fellow whites. But I'm like, everything you're saying about white people is so bad, right? But you flock towards the black people because you think it's cool. Like, they'll accept you because you're hood, because you're into the baby mama stuff. So you'd rather be a white woman who's someone's baby mom than a white woman who is married to a fellow white man. It's like, it's a poison. It's a cancerous poison. And why would you want that? Like, if you see something's not working for this person, why would you then go and do it? I just don't understand it. And y'all celebrate Black History Month like you're celebrating something. What are you celebrating? I don't get it. Y'all talking about us being brought over here on slave ships. Well, how? How did we get here? You think the white man just showed up and started rounding people up? No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Blacks were already enslaving other blacks. So what are you celebrating? Why can't we just be normal? Why can't we just be Americans who happen to be black? Why can't we just be Americans, period? I just don't understand. It's like every time you say black power and the black fist and black is beautiful and all this stuff, you shouldn't even need to say those things because you should already be empowered mentally. If you're saying black power, that means you have no power. Because if you had power, you wouldn't be going around doing this, saying it. But if a white person says white power, you'll call him a white supremacist. Get it? The double standard has no end. It's like, y'all want equal rights to look like white people tiptoeing around you. White people being afraid of y'all. But they're afraid because, especially these young black people, they're known to like just lash out. Because that anger is another toxic thing. It starts in the home. But when there's no fathers, all you get is pure negative energy. Because there's no balance. So why would you celebrate that? Like, I could see if we were on the right track, if we were doing something. But what are the results of the civil rights movement? Like, let's just say the civil rights movement was a wonderful thing. Have y'all seen the Boondocks episode when Martin Luther King woke up? 40 years later, he was in a coma. He's looking around like, is this what I got all those butt whoopings for? He's looking around at black people of today like, what the heck? Because it was the mentality of today. The ghetto, trifling, negative, crabs in a barrel mentality. That's all it is now. And when I see these kids fighting in the schools, it's like you can't even have a black school or a mostly black school without them fighting like daily. I mean, so what are we celebrating? I don't know. But when I saw Serena Williams crip walking at the event, I'm like, I gotta talk about this now. Because enough is enough, man. Speaking of Samuel Jackson, remember when he said, I've had enough of these gosh dang snakes on this gosh dang plane? It's like, that's how I feel about this crap, man. It's divisive. It's separating. On one hand, they wanted unity to be together. Now everybody's together and y'all want to be separated. We're going to have a black national anthem. Does that even make sense? So not only are we going to have a national anthem, but we're going to have a black national anthem at the same event and play them both. And you're telling me you don't want to be separated. And you're going to call yourself an African American while doing it. Does that make any sense? But I'm curious, like, what white people think about this stuff. Like, when they saw the Super Bowl game, right? When they went home, they're driving home in their minivan or whatever as a family. Like, what discussions do y'all have amongst yourselves? Like, does the mother say, hey, honey, how'd you like the halftime show? And is the father just like, I don't even know what Kendrick Lamar was saying. I don't even know who he is. I don't know what this Drake thing is about. Like, don't even get me started on that. Like, what do the white people say when they see that type of stuff in the public eye? And as far as Kendrick Lamar being the main act, what a mess. And one thing about him, I knew that wasn't going to work because I can barely understand Kendrick Lamar and his actual CDs, let alone at a live performance. They should have had somebody like Young Jeezy or Ludacris or Fat Joe, someone who's clear and someone who's not all preachy, someone who's fun. They could have had. I mean, they could have had Eminem. They could have had 50 Cent would have been all right, which they've been there before. But yeah, Ludacris would have been great. R.I.P. to DMX. He would have done great. How are you going to perform a diss track at an event that's like a worldwide event? A diss track, even though the beef is over? Like, what are we doing, people? Could you imagine if Tupac was still alive and they said, hey, Tupac, we want you to perform at the Super Bowl? He's like, okay. And he performs Hit 'Em Up. You know, that's the one when he says, oh, and by the way, I effed your wife to Biggie. That's like them asking Nas, hey, you want to perform at the Super Bowl? And he's like, for show. And he performs Ether. Do you know what he said in Ether? I can't even repeat it. I can't even repeat what he said to Jay-Z. You're a riding, you love the attention. Queens run you, ask Russell Simmons. And I'm not trying to compare Kendrick Lamar to Tupac and Nas, because there's no comparison. But how are you going to take a family-friendly event and turn it into a diss concert? Anti-American, man. Just straight hateful. Like, the Super Bowl's supposed to be fun. And y'all up there performing diss record. A diss record is meant to divide. So you performing a diss record, they not like us, right? And on the side here, my girl is doing the crip walk. But I got uncles who are in their 60s and 80s. I'm curious, like, what they thought of that. Because they can actually look back and see how black people used to be. So I should call my great uncle just to see where he's at with this. But this is not normal. But the whole diss record mentality, that's an actual mentality of hating your fellow man. I'm going to hate this person because he's different from me. On the street, on a street level. I know guys whose family members been murdered over a misunderstanding. Or two people fought, one lost. Well, then the loser was a sore loser, comes back and murders somebody. Like, that's not normal. If you're gonna fight, then fight. But no one should be dying because of a fist fight. Like, that's how destructive the culture is. You can't even do this anymore. Because nowadays, people will just shoot you. That's not normal. Walking around with a mentality, I'm going to shoot somebody today. Like metal detectors in schools. That's not normal. It's not right. It's really not. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. What do y'all think of this? I'm just tired of it, man. It's just so old. And when I see people who are biracial, who want to really, really tap in to the blackness, the victimhood, it's like, but if blackness equals victimhood, then why not lean into your whiteness? They don't want to do that because they don't see the whiteness as being cool. They see you guys as like plain Janes, eating ham and cheese sandwiches. No, they want the black side because they want that umph. They want that culture. They want to be cool. And then when they see guys like me who's not into that stuff, they're like, essentially, I'm wasting my blackness. My blackness is being thrown down the drain because I'm not using my victimhood. But what 50% victimhood they quote unquote do have, they want to use it to the fullest. They have to be extra, extra, extra black. And a lot of these people, like I said, one of their parents is black. But a lot of them, they date white people. So you date white people, yet you openly hate white people. I don't get it, man. Like, you can't even be a black nerd without being called everything but your name. That's why I don't identify with being black anymore. Because I can see I'm black, but I don't need to go around you. See, the thing about blackness is it's like a political affiliation. It's not just your color anymore. It's a divider. And I say it's a political affiliation, or at least a social affiliation, because you use it to get something that you wouldn't normally get, or you use it for other people to treat you a certain way, to walk on eggshells. It's like when there's a speaker and she says, excuse me, there's a black woman up here, I'm talking. Y'all need to give me the same respect y'all gave all these white people. But if you were a respectful person, you wouldn't need to say that. You would just say, okay, here I come, I'm speaking. You wouldn't even need to say I'm speaking. You would just start speaking and they would listen. If you have something important to say, they will listen. If you're a hard worker, you will be rewarded. If you do a good job, they will pay attention. But when they go on and say, I'm a black woman, black women got it really bad. Way worse than the men. I'm a black woman. You better listen to me. No one cares that you're a black woman. That's my whole point. You're using something to your benefit that deserves no benefit. Because we're supposed to all be equal, right? If everybody's equal, you don't need to go around saying I'm a black woman or I'm a this or I'm a that. Because in the eyes of God, we're all equal anyway. So you can't be a Christian on one hand and say God loves us all equally, or men are created equally. Then on the other hand say, well, I'm a black this, or I'm a trans that, or I'm this class, I'm that class, I'm bisexual, I'm gay, whatever. You can't truly believe that if you believe in God. They don't both work at the same time. It's like, I'm done talking about this. It's just straight, raw victimhood stupidity. And we're too old to be acting like this. We're too old. I see these kids, and it's like they're zombies, man. They're dreadheads. The pants be down. They're on the phones 24/7. No communication skills. No eye contact. They can't speak to you. They can't speak. It's like they're reverting back to like a caveman type of person, but they got no social skills. None. You can see somebody in public today, and you can't even speak to them half the time because you don't know if that person's going to like lash out at you. You know what I'm saying? Because people today are crazy. Like, when I'm in public, I like to talk stuff to people. But I see people who are like mean. Like they're waiting for you to say something stupid. And when you get that aura, when you get that vibe, you're like, I'm not going to talk to her. You know, like you can't even compliment. Don't even get me started. You can't even give black women compliments anymore. What do you mean my hair looks different? Different in what way? It means it doesn't look the same as it looked yesterday. What? Man. The black man hates the black woman. The black woman really hates the black man. And the children, they suffer. The children suffer. They grow up all kinds of jacked up. Then they go to these schools, fight with the teachers. These schools need extra security guards, metal detectors. It's bad, man. It is really bad, but this has been going on long enough. It's been 40 minutes. What's the solution here? Revert back to how people used to be. Stop having all this sex. That's one. Out of wedlock especially. Obey your parents. Let's start with that. Hip-hop culture did a number on black people. That might be a whole nother video. Stop worshiping celebrities. Stop tapping into this. I'm telling you, man, it's a culture, man. The culture is just straight poison. Because you can be black, that's fine. But the culture, when they say being black, that's what they mean is the culture. Do you have black culture? If someone says, are you black? They're saying, do you believe in black culture? So I say no, because I don't believe in black culture. Because today's culture is so detrimental. It's like a ticking time bomb. I don't associate with it. Or any culture for that reason. I associate with decent people. Decent folk. People who work every day. People who raise their children. People who are respectful. And I noticed a lot of young people today, they curse like crazy, man. I remember when I was in high school, yeah, we cursed, but it was like amongst ourselves, amongst one another. But like the adults couldn't hear it. Whereas today, they don't care who's around. You could be at the mall. You could be anywhere. And it's just the loud, obnoxious, in-your-face attitude. And these are the same people who complain they can't get a state job when they grow up because they got criminal records. Well, why do you have a criminal record? Because you were raised in a hell house for a home. And then you ended up committing some type of crime. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. By the time you figure it out, it's too late. It's too late, mother lovers. And then when they do want to do good, they're all washed up. For example, there's these women. Ooh, don't get me started. There's these women who have these kids by men who they're not really committed to. They might like them. They might like sleeping with them. But they're not really committed to them. Fast forward, they break up for whatever reason. Years later, they want to find somebody who has 0 kids. I had a woman tell me this in person to my face. She had asked me, well, first I asked her if she had kids. She said yes. And then she asked me the same question. I said no. You know what she told me? She said, good, just how I like him. I don't want no man with no kids. I'm just thinking, female dog, you just said you have kids, though. It's like, that's the mentality I'm talking about. You'll have all of these kids by all these different dudes who you're not even committed to. And then you want to turn around and say, oh, I better not be dating a man who has kids. That's the culture I'm talking about. That's modern day black society culture. I would say don't fall for it because it's just too detrimental. It's not going to lead to anything positive. I talked about heroes yesterday, about being a role model and being positive. In order to revert back to being quote unquote decent, adults, be a role model to these kids. Be a role model to these kids, and don't give your kids the opportunity to worship people like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and these type of people. And these guys are good rappers, but if you have a father in the home, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar and Drake, they're not going to replace the dad. Like me and most of my friends, we had dads, but we also listened to rap. But it didn't really affect us for real. Not really, because for the most part, we had both parents. So rap was something that was fun. So that's my advice. Raise your kids, be a good role model to your kids, and don't give them an opportunity to worship anybody who is not God. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Peace.